spectrum frontiers. Riding hard, standing tall. From the heart of the people to the rise and the fall. Full spectrum frontiers. Where the stories ignite. Guarding tomorrow with grit in the fight.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Full Spectrum Frontiers. I'm your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we've got Travis Misurell. Is that how you say it?
Misurell.
Misurell. So I was pretty close. Travis, thank you so much for coming on. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where people can find you.
Sure. Yeah. So again, my name is Travis Misurell. I'm the founder of FiNC, which is the Futures Now Coalition. We describe ourselves as a civic utility focused on one thing, which is upgrading democracy and how Americans interact with politics. Really want to build a more direct democracy where citizens are actually represented. Right now, we feel like it's kind of going in the opposite direction. And right. So our long-term goal is what we're calling digital democracy. Other people have used that term, which is just the idea of building a system where people can interact with all the politics, digitally in a more efficient way and in a way that makes more sense. But what makes us unique on it is that we ourselves are not building it. We want to interconnect those that are already building different civic technologies and different ways of making the system easier for people. We want to just build a overarching umbrella to fit those different organizations, but then most importantly, ensuring that citizens are the ones that are in control of digital democracy, and like it's not big tech in control, not party gatekeepers, not even FiNC, but actually the citizens.
Yeah.
So that's really our role, would be like protecting the interests of the American people and ensuring that it as the system does go in that direction, that America is truly involved and has the control and oversight in how this develops.
Yeah. So tell us about the moment that you basically realized today's political system wasn't working and how that led to you founding FiNC.
Yeah, sure. So, early on, I actually wasn't very political. The core of all this is more like a sociological perspective. And
Yeah.
I always cared about society, but not necessarily politics. But then it was 2016 election, when the time was, it was really Bernie against Trump were the big focus points.
Yeah.
And it's really then that I saw how the establishment really, they put their weight on who they want to win. They have their picks, and this goes for like presidentials and pretty much all primaries where there's
Yeah.
an establishment Democrat pick, there's an establishment Republican pick, and then before citizens even know what their choices are, they basically shove a choice down our throats. So I saw how like both Trump and Bernie spoke in a populist way. People argue which one's more honest and whatnot. We don't get into that
Yeah,
stuff,
right.
but the idea is that both spoke in a populist way, both spoke a lot of truths about the system being broken and the corruption going on. And I just also saw how the system was rigged against both. At the time, Trump was not the establishment pick, and nor was Bernie. And so I just saw a lot of unfair ways that the game was played. And so that's really what got me deeply involved in all this.
Did you tell people where to find you?
Oh, not yet. Yeah. So they can find us on our website, futureis.org. Our handle in all socials is futureis.org, one word. And then in the next couple of weeks, we're launching our digital politics hub, which is our first big, it's a web app, which you can find right on our website, or just go to hub.futureis.org. And that's where the hub will be when it launches in about a week or two.
I love the phrase America's civic utility. It kind of hits for me. So like, what does civic utility mean in practice, in all actuality?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, civics, not everyone grasps this, but the difference between civics and politics is that civics is the processes, the procedures of like how we express politics. So part of civics is like how do we choose our leader? How does the primary work? How are we organized in
Get the
parties and
mechanisms, right?
yeah, the mechanism. Oh, that's a good word for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
mechanisms. Um, so we're looking at it as we want to evolve the way our mechanisms work, the way the system works. Because right now, it those that are already in power are in control of these mechanisms, and that just never makes sense. There's too much bias in somebody that's already in power. It needs to be the citizen's choice. um, so that's where we get civics, and then we just saw it as a utility, as in like our ultimate goal is to plug every American into democracy. Regardless of their political belief, demographics, nothing, none of that matters. We want every American. You're a citizen. You can vote. You deserve to be plugged into democracy. There needs to be an efficient way for you to see all the candidates. There needs to be transparency in government. Like, are they fulfilling their promises? If they're taking big money, where's the industries that the money's coming from? So we want to build transparency, accountability into the system, and just ensure no matter, whether you're educated or not, political or not, just simplify the process, make it as easy as possible so everyone could just plug into democracy and make the best choice for themselves of who they want to support and vote for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's something that we've been missing in politics for a long time is transparency for everyone. And I mean, from like visibility rules to gatekeepers and media bias, you talk about rigged patterns quite a bit, right? What are the, to you, what are the most striking patterns citizens have a tendency to overlook today?
Sure. Yeah. So, like, really, the main three, like, the main three evils and the patterns that cause the most rip in our democracy is the gatekeeping of the parties is one. Two is just big donor money and big corporate influence. That those with more money have more influence
Yeah, and that
directly.
you can't even see half the
Yeah.
time, right?
Right, right. And then the third one, as you just said it, media bias, that the establishment media, like, I always like to mention that there's about 6 companies that own 90% of TV media right now. So you think
Yeah,
you have these choices, you think that you're getting different perspectives, but no, they're all it's all, a
it's
big
an illusion.
concentration. Yeah. Um, so to answer your question, like people know instinctively, they know that money in politics is a problem. They know that media shouldn't be trusted. I mean, all the stats are showing that people trust the media the lowest in ever in history. Trust in government, a lot of trust factors are on all-time low right now. But they still don't know to what degree that this is like huge emergency. A lot of people on the left right now are looking at it with Trump, but like I want them to know this has been going on, and it's not just Trump. It's all both parties. It's the whole system. There's just massive, massive conflicts of interest, just legal bribery, legal corruption. Um, so people like know this, but they don't know like just how deep it goes.
Yeah, and or how to even decipher so much of it. And the tribalism is frightening. It's terrifying, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and to that point, like there are ways to see the conflicts of interest. It's not super easy, but for example, there's OpenSecrets.org is a website that shows federal and state candidates, and it shows a lot of where their money's coming from. It's not super user friendly, but the information's there. So what we ultimately want to do is one of our flagship features we are working to build is politician report cards where you'd be able to see every candidate, who's funding the campaign, where's that money coming from, what industry, helps citizens decipher like where the conflict of interest are. Ultimately, we want to promote people that just take only small dollar donations, but that's few and far between. But at the very least, like for example, if you care about healthcare, don't vote for somebody that takes like $10 million from private insurance and
yeah,
the big pharma. And so we want to make it easier to see the correlation of these conflicts of interest for an average American.
yeah. So explain how, like, the digital politics lens works, like, and how an average citizen can start seeing through that, like that DP lens today.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so the digital democracy that we were talking about, that's the tech side of it, and then
Yep.
digital politics lens is really like it's a mindset shift. It's really a new way to see politics. Um, so part of it's that is like identifying these rigged patterns, but then at the simplest level, it's really about adding an just one extra dimension on politics of up versus down.
Mm,
That we tell people like we're not here to convince somebody that leans left to lean right or right to left. Like we're neutral in terms of wherever you're going to stand left or right. We're not going to change your mind there. But if we add just one additional layer, up versus down, which is so like up serving candidates are the ones that serve big donors. They serve bigger people that have more power than them. They look to people above them to help them rise by feeding into those with power, where the down serving candidates are really the grassroots candidates. So their goal is just to have as many voters as possible, getting citizen support, grassroots support, small people support. And that's really what democracy should be about. You should be serving your voters and not just a
yeah, your
handful of big donors.
constituents for sure.
Yeah, so that's what we're calling up down politics is if you're right, stay right, that's fine. Left, you stay left, but add this one layer. If you're looking at a candidate or even media, add this one layer. Are they there to serve the people, or are they serving, the big donors or those with
Power.
higher power? And that's like we're starting to try to develop like different checklists and stuff to help like distill that for people to identify.
Yeah, I like that. It's more of a 360 view. So it's,
Yeah.
left and right, obviously, right? But a lot of people haven't thought about that. And I mean, the idea of down equals people first and up equals power first. It's such a sliding scale then. So it gives you more, just a better overall view. I think that's pretty smart.
Yeah, and like so like, our number one issue that we talk about in I think is money in politics. And like it almost wouldn't matter if half Congress was Democrat, half was Republican. It almost wouldn't matter if they were all down serving. They're truly there to say, what can we do to make the citizens healthier, happier, more
Yeah.
successful? They would get along. They would fit. Things would get better. They would find ways to compromise. They would find policies to put together. So it's not so much that we're split left versus right. It's that they're all feeding to who gives them the most money and the concentration of power and influence, and that's the core problem.
Yeah. So with this digital democracy system, right? How do you see it transforming elections and representation in general? Like,
Yeah. So ultimately, what we're envisioning, so ideally, some of these features are going to be done by the midterm election, especially the report cards. But then the 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 general election is really going to be where we have a lot of the big products going out. But
so come 2028,
yeah,
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 well, 2027 actually, but I
yeah,
yeah,
right.
right.
Um,
So
but
that's pretty quick.
yeah,
That's getting everything under your feet underneath you pretty quick.
yeah. Yeah, and so the idea is that we just want to streamline the process. So imagine if every candidate is showcased equally. A citizen could just put their zip code in, and then these are all the candidates running in the race. We're going to show you Democrat, Republican, but then also third parties, independents. We'll start building systems to track the electability of a candidate. Do they have a chance to win in the general election? Again, the report cards with the funding sources, how consistent are they in their promises? Do they deliver on their promises? So there's two major changes that happen here. One is that the fact that you're showcasing all candidates equally already shifts the balance extremely, because like right now, like why does a candidate need millions of dollars? It's really to advertise themselves.
Yeah.
It's for that's what a campaign is to advertise, say, hey, here I am. So it's all about paying for billboards and ads and stuff. But so imagine if every candidate was showcased at the same time. Every candidate has a voice to say, hey, this is why you should vote for me. This is what I stand for. Right away, you start lessening the need to raise millions of dollars if every candidate is there, and eventually every citizen can see this, and all of them side by side. And then the second piece to that is not only are you showcasing all the candidates, but then we're also showing you the skeletons in their closet with the report cards. So the grassroots candidates, they can't raise as much money, but here in digital democracy, that doesn't matter. And then not only that, but the big guys that are raising millions of dollars, you're now going to see very clearly this guy took from big oil, they took from big pharma, big tech. You're going to see those conflicts of interest. So it's going to start incentivizing smaller dollar donations, that if you're going to take a legal bribe, a politician's going to think twice, that like they're
Yeah.
going to, oh no, if I take 10 million from this organization offering it to me, all my voters are now going to see it front and center, and I might lose support by that. So they slowly make them choose not to do that. So ultimately, it's like we know that we're not going to make it illegal to take big money right now. We can't change legislation, but we could change how people see this information and evolve how they make these decisions for themselves.
Yeah. So moving towards like a citizen role today, right? Like practical use and impact. For listeners who want to get involved today, like what's the most impactful first step for them?
Yeah,
Because the midterms are coming fast.
right.
So
Yeah, and we definitely could use the support. So yeah, so at this very moment, you go to futureis.org. At the bottom, you sign up for our newsletter, so you'll get alerts when the Digital Politics Hub launches. It's going to launch within the first or second week of January. So like within the next week or two.
so fast.
So when that launches, you'll get an alert through the newsletter, and the link. It's going to just be hub.futureis.org will take you to the hub. But we'll remind you on the newsletter. That's going to be our first, this is the first time we're really moving into our coordination stage. We're ready to scale up, really bring awareness to this, and really start empowering Americans to get involved. So this hub is going to direct you through everything. There's different ways to spread the word. Like there's what we call micro actions, like small things you could do, like 5 minutes a day, a couple days a week, to like spread the right message on social media. There's ways for you to recommend a good podcaster, a good journalist, a good candidate that you want us to interconnect with. It's really it's a coordination hub. The idea is to start building this people power, and because we've proven now that we can do, our message goes across political beliefs. Like we have MAGA people in our movement. We have centrist Democrats. We have libertarians, socialists, like everyone across the spectrum. We have people all like we're proving that civics doesn't have a partisan divide. To want to get money out of politics, to want better representation, to want accountability, there's no voters against voters on
Yeah.
that. It's again up and down. Those in power won't like that, but 95% of Americans will.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things as you talk to your neighbors and you might not align on a 100% of things, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like we, even at the largest divides, average divides, I'd say, you agree on 85% of things, you know?
Yeah.
And I really look for things. This is why I was so interested to talk to you, because I love things that bring people together, to have, and at the very least, work together for the common good instead of dividing us and just having, civil discourse. There's the word civil again, civics, civil. But like looking ahead to 2026 midterms and beyond, what milestones would make you say FiNC is making measurable change?
So first is really just getting the buy-in, because that's the thing, that there's like before I even started the organization, there's been like 15-ish organizations that have tried different kind of political social networks, and no one knows they exist. They're gone now,
Yeah, right.
but they come and go. What we want to prove is that we have a special sauce, that our focus is not necessarily the tech itself. It's the buy-in with the citizens. It's about trust with citizens. So number one is just straight buy-in. So even if by the midterms we have like, tens, hundreds of thousands of people on our hub and starting to help coordinate and get involved in this,
Yeah.
that in itself is a powerful piece. And then beyond that, we want to just see like just alternative candidates making a bigger splash. Like, a win would be like, oh, three House members are now third parties like that have never won before. And we
Yeah,
have,
right.
now,
Not just
so
the moniker independent, right?
yeah, yeah. So, like, anything that shows, like, outside the status quo, something like the patterns are changing. We wanna break the current patterns of how the system is stuck in one place right now. And so we wanna help the underdog. We wanna give better chances of these other candidates. And like right now, like, the like third parties and independents, they're so fragmented. They work against each other and they fight with each other. And I understand that, they don't agree on policies, but like we need to build shared infrastructure if we're ever going to beat the status quo. So, like libertarians and progressives, for example, normally don't get along at all, but there's so much like they would want money out of politics. They would want ranked choice voting. They would want a fair system. They would want better primaries. Like, both of them would have an advantage to a better civic infrastructure. And so that's kind of the core we want to explain to like organizations and politicians and parties is like, we need to build a shared infrastructure. We might differ on policy stances, but like just build shared infrastructure so at least we stand a chance to beat the status quo and start really moving democracy in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't really view like my fellow citizens as enemies, right? But the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
Mhm.
goes a long way in this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that shared infrastructure I think is key because without that shared infrastructure, you just have the status quo. So I mean, critics are going to ask, right? Can a citizen owned system scale without uh like partition capture or technocratic bias, right?
Mhm.
So how are you guys mitigating those risks?
Yeah, so at the very core, we're very carefully moving step by step. Like we're not even really like we have like the outer vision of digital democracy, but we're not really going to start building the meat and potatoes until we have citizens oversight in it and ownership. Um, so like this early stage, this coordination phase we're getting into is all about getting citizens' opinions, feedback, where how much oversight is good for citizens to look over things. And then even just the legal structure, it's going to take a couple years to flesh this out, but we literally want to make it that every citizen can get equal ownership of this technology. It'll kind of be like every citizen when you turn 18, you opt into ownership of this platform. Like everyone gets like just one share. You can't buy two. You only
Yeah,
get one
correct.
share. Um, and no money, you don't get like money out of it. It's all for decision making and control and ensuring that the citizens are truly in power over this platform. So that's the legal structure for technology. It's going to be on a blockchain for extra security, and it's also kind of like a democratic way of storing information. Um, so we're just very carefully, we want Americans, as many people involved from day one, movements, journalists, influencers, podcasters, just everyone that can be involved in this in some form or the other. We want to network them together, help build these decision making processes, ways to build a consensus around decisions. Um, so those are some of the ways like and then it's a win-win that like if citizens are asked of this and basically build this with us, that automatically gives more buy-in. They're automatically going to
Mhm.
trust this more. Like, hey, I was there from day one. I was involved in building this. So it's all about the trust and the buy-in of the citizens, really making it sure like we're not talking about a technocracy. We're talking about citizens being in control. The tech is more about consensus building, like where does America stand on things, where's the polling, where's the focus groups.
Yeah,
So it's not like, oh, AI is going to decide the policies. No, it's Americans. And then like tech might assist like who like how popular a decision is.
for sure.
um but so that's kind of the key here is like it's all about like not forgetting the heart, and like the tech is really secondary to the people power and,
Just a
and
tool,
empowering.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah, making sure people have skin in the game, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah, so so a lot of our messaging again is like money out of politics. For those that feel like Trump is the only threat, we want to make it clear like he's a symptom of the problem. This is what happens when people are desperate and things are falling apart. People were not happy no matter who is the candidate. People feel for at least a decade, if not several decades, that the economy is getting worse. People feel more stressed out. Like stat over stat, trust in government is shrinking and institutions and stuff. So we need change. We need to break this pattern. We're still in the same pattern. Like right now, it's Trump versus not Trump again for like the 13th year, and
Yeah,
it's like
right.
like you can't just be Trump and not Trump. We need to be for something too, and like
For
you need a
sure.
a, a vision to aspire towards. And
I mean,
so
if we haven't noticed, like congressional, uh, their approval ratings are at historic lows.
yes,
So
yes,
what does that mean? It means that the people that are there aren't doing their jobs. That's what
yeah,
that means. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
it's
wild.
crazy. Yeah, and it's crazy because yeah, the approval rating's historic low, and yet like their chances of getting reelected are like 95
It's which is
chance.
insane to me. I don't understand that.
Insane. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, so that's where like some people really need to wake up to that because people are very stuck in like black and white and like, oh, like they hate Trump so much that they're gonna glorify the Democrats, and it's like, no, like
yeah,
you got to see the whole picture. Just because you decided that one side is the worst evil does not mean the other side is great. Like we need to acknowledge that the whole system needs to be reformed,
yeah.
and
It's
so
oh,
that's
it's not my candidate. My candidate's
right.
great. It's the rest of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll even say that. They'll say like, "Oh, all politicians are corrupt except my candidate."
Except for
And
my
then
candidate.
same with media too. They'll say, "Oh, all the media lies." Wait, but not my. I listen to CNN.
Yeah,
That they don't lie. No,
right,
they're all.
right.
It's all the same. And like, so people have to realize like things are not black and white. Things are more complex than that. And
Yeah,
we have
for
to
sure.
acknowledge like even like the Democrats winning recently. It's not that people are like extra like excited about Democrats. It's just that anti-Trump is was enough to get them to the polls. But like
Yeah,
all the numbers are showing Democrats, if anything, a lot of states are losing, less people are registering as Democrats and this and
yeah,
that. So, people need to be for something. We need to build and not just destroy and just be against the other side.
yeah. True story. True. So you brought it up earlier that FiNC is part of a broader civic tech trend, right? Where tech enhances citizen engagement, and I think it's totally true. And as long as people use it as a tool, right? So, how do you see FiNC's role compared to like you brought up existing civic tech tools? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, so what we see it as like it's kind of like each one is a puzzle piece to this bigger digital democracy. Our job is not actually a puzzle piece. We want to be the connective tissue between the puzzle pieces. So again, we're not ever going to directly be building the tech. Like there's certain features that we want, like the politician report cards, there's certain
yeah,
criteria where citizens are in control of it. Um, but so, for example, for years, I've had this vision of how we could do a digital primary or people's primary on like in a way of doing like an app where you could choose your like during the primary, you could choose the best candidate between third parties, independents, and so on. But then just like about 6 months ago or so, we ended up aligning with an organization, America's Main Street Party, and they're already designing that app. So there
yeah,
are but so the way I see it though is like they're like what they're doing is amazing. That in itself could be a big game changer, but it's only one piece to a larger puzzle set, because like, so that takes care of the elections. Then a different organization does polling mechanisms to say, what does each district care about, where they stand on policy issues. So that a different organization would take care of that technology. So like I feel like none of them are going to win separately. The only way it's going to actually happen is having it under one roof, one umbrella infrastructure owned by the people, make it user friendly because most people they're still not super tech savvy, they're not going to trust technology too well. So we want to be the connective tissue and the buy-in for the citizens, explain why they should trust it, why they get the buy-in, ensure that they see the transparency as these technologies grow into the mainstream public. Um, so we're more about integrating these ideas into society, as well as ensuring that the tech does stay like objective and for the benefit of the people. And then slowly build it into this larger like digital democracy umbrella.
Yeah, I love that because you're making sure that um digital democracy isn't like replicating exclusionary systems,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
or things like, you know what I'm saying.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
which is cool. So it's a matter of you just working with folks, and it becomes more accessible to everyone that way.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because these tech, it's going to be very appealing. There's going to be like big tech offering large sums of money to these organizations to twist it into their favor, and there's a lot of ways that the tech could be corrupted if we're not careful. So we want to have this umbrella infrastructure with the citizens at the helm, with oversight on it to build that trust. So, because like A, we don't want to corrupt it, and then B, again, there's been a lot of these tech platforms, but no one knows they exist, so they're not getting anywhere. They're because
Yeah.
it, if they're going to be truly nonpartisan and truly there for the people, there are limitations to that. The funding is very limited in that sense, and being nonprofit and whatnot, and so these organizations don't get their name out that well, and then the establishment doesn't want them to be known, so they're kind of burying it. So like our job is almost like being the marketing, being the PR that like showing people that these things exist, show them how we can make it in a trustworthy way, ensuring that we are like FiNC wants to be like the referee. We want to ensure that anyone building it is building a fair playing field, and they're not bought out by like they can't allow it that somebody could buy influence, buy a leg up in by having a louder voice by giving more money, kind of a thing. Um, so our role is doing what none of those guys are doing, which is really doing the people side, the movement side, the heart of
Yeah.
it, and like really showing the implications of how this tech could better society. Like it's not here to just like make it a little easier to vote. We want to like completely improve the representation in society, accountability. Like this could massively improve democracy. It's not just a little tool to make things a little easier. It's like this can completely change the game and build a more representative democracy.
Yeah, I love the term, and I've read that the term, let me think, it's got to pop. Neutral but not passive, right?
Mm, mm.
Um, and like how do you guys stay unbiased while still driving change? Because that's really hard for a lot of people to do. And I think a lot of people love the idea of that. But very few are able to pull it off, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it's huge. And the
Yeah.
fact that you guys are even starting at this spot and that's your idea, right?
Mhm.
That's one of your core goals is amazing. So
Mhm.
how do you guys stay unbiased and still drive change?
Yeah, so that like what you're saying here, that's the core of the digital politics side of it. The digital politics lens, part of it is this new language around things. Because like right now, there's like a Republican way to say certain things, there's a Democrat way to say certain things, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so we want to build a digital politics way of saying things where it doesn't trigger one side, it's not leaning one side or the other. So that took the longest to build. Like I started working on this about 3 years ago, and digital politics and the language and the lens is really what took the most time to flesh out. That's what we've been building over the last 3 years is the language. How do we stay unbiased? Where do we land on issues? And are there any issues that we do land on? Um, and so, so we're neutral in terms of left versus right. Like, we support if
Of
you're
course.
anything from libertarian, progressive, socialist, everyone across the spectrum. Like you do you. We want to interconnect you to a shared infrastructure, and then let democracy play out. If we had a fair democracy, a truly fair democracy, it would work itself out, and we would figure out where we disagree and whatnot. Um, but so some of it's like the newer language. We do have our stances, money out of politics. We're clearly more anti-establishment. We want to be clear that the American people don't like where things are headed with both parties. But it's also like, that's not our opinion. Like, this is the stats. This is what
Yeah.
America,
This is kind of a consensus to an extent,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of it's like, I use the term like a consensus reality, that there's certain facts that are more like more of a basic reality for people. Whether, because it's funny, like if a Democrat is president, they say, oh yeah, the Democrat media will say, oh, the economy is doing a lot better right now. And then when the Republicans are in office, they say, oh, now the economy is doing better. But the American people, like, I don't feel like things are going better. I don't have higher confidence. Like, what the hell are you? Where are you going? Where is this based off of?
Yeah.
Um, so we have our lens. Like, our bias is more up versus down. That we
Right.
want Americans to truly be represented. If you're not representing your voters, you're not doing your job. So that's where we're like that, in that sense, we're not neutral, because we're very vocal, but we're vocal on the majority's will, and fighting for, like, basically fighting for the will of the majority in those senses. So it took a while to get the right language. Sometimes there's still little pieces that we have to
Yeah.
like work ourselves out, but we landed pretty well, and now it's more of like how to make sure citizens understand how we're doing it, and also help them learn at least some of it. Everyone's gonna have their biases and partisanship, and that's fine, but like,
Yeah.
understand, like, hey, when we're building democracy and working on civic structures, let's all put our political lens aside, because we all have the same common goal on civics, of like money out of politics, better representation, accountability in government. There's some fundamental, very clear black and white, like most Americans agree on this. That's what democracy should be. And so we want to start teaching people when to put their lens aside and just see it in this like civics lens, basically.
Yeah. Versus that everyone's got confirmation bias, right? We
Yeah,
all
yeah,
you can't hide from it.
yeah,
But also I love the idea of people just I I I'm shocked at how often people don't understand that they have confirmation bias,
yeah.
and that it's not about calling people out, it's about educating people, right?
Mhm.
So, how much of that is going on with you guys?
Um, yeah, well, a lot. Like, I mean, our biggest thing is trying to say, like, most people are obsessed saying why the other party is so bad, and we're here
Yeah.
to say, like,
It's
you,
it's not the left and right, it's the
yeah.
up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, it's kind of human nature to like protect your side of something, but we have to break out of that. We got to get out of the tribalism. We are all one big collective. We're one country. We're one planet. All that stuff. Um, so a lot of our work is like, really, we spend more time trying to convince, like, helping people understand that their own party is part of the problem. We're not here to say the other,
Yeah.
like, that's the hardest challenge, is like both sides are causing problems. Both the system, and in some ways it's not even the politicians' fault themselves. It's the system that is now existed. They didn't create it themselves. They were born into it. And yeah, they're kind of making it worse, but like, it's by design of how it is right
Yeah.
now. So, instead of just focusing on blaming people, let's just acknowledge that it is the system, but both sides are playing into that system. And now we have a chance to move into the digital age, building a better alternative system that Americans are actually control and own.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Cool.
Um, uh, so what just kind of a couple more questions and then we'll kind of wrap things up. What, in your opinion, or like what's one practical misunderstanding most people have about politics?
Um, Well, like the number one thing that would make a huge difference is like, we all say like, oh, politicians lie, but like, if you really took that to heart, like, just because you like the promises of a certain candidate does not mean they're going to deliver on those promises.
Mhm.
And then also that, like, they're always going to have excuses why they didn't succeed at their job. And usually it's, oh, well, the other team, we
The
didn't get
other
enough
team.
votes. The other team caused the problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they buy into that. Oh, well, Biden didn't get a lot of support. Like, okay, but why doesn't he get support? Why are the if you really look at the votes, a lot of times the same party is voting against their own, against the citizens' interests in certain policy stances and stuff. And like, they're not going to ever admit, oh, well, we have big donors and there'd be a conflict of we can't serve you because the guys that actually give us the money would get mad at us. They can't tell you that. So of course they're going to come up with excuses. Oh, the other side, or we have different people want different, have different stances on things. Like, no, look at the statistics. Like you said earlier, there's so many things where there's so much agreement across the board on
Oh,
things
so
that
much.
they will not touch those things because their big donors won't like that.
How do we shift this campaign finance stuff? Like, how do we fix that? Like, you know what I mean? That's a ridiculous question, but this just keeps what pops into my head is like, this is where so much of the basis of this is, in my opinion. And
Oh yeah,
I know you agree.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it's
But
like big picture wise,
mhm,
how do we fix that? Like, how do we take that out of their hands? It's
yeah,
I and
well,
I think it's us
mhm, mhm.
demanding it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So at the core, again, like that, like you said, that is the number one issue by far, is the money in politics. And then that's also the core of what our solution is. So, imagine if like every citizen knows that there's digital democracy. This is where I go to help decide who I'm going to vote for. And then for every candidate, this is where I go to get my voice heard so I can prove I am the best candidate. So, like right now, the way it works is almost only way you get elected is if you succumb to the Democrat machine or the Republican political machine. But what we're doing is offering a third choice now. Here is now a citizen owned shared system, and so it doesn't matter if you're a third party, independent, doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, if you're just not status quo, use this new infrastructure. But like, so if everyone was, it's kind of like if everyone is in the same room, and so citizens know all their choices and candidates don't need to spend money to be heard right away, that completely starts changing the system up.
It definitely
Flips
levels
it.
the playing field
Yeah.
a little bit at least, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think we need to understand, folks need to understand, is that it doesn't have to be a revolution.
Mhm.
All it needs to be is a little bit of change does a lot, and
Yeah.
especially in this aspect, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where we talk about the third party coming in, and what does it take to get that change and it's 5% of the popular vote, really,
Mhm.
which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but like,
um,
so what we're talking about here is like, just cutting the need to raise all that money. If
yeah,
everyone's kind of in the same room, everything is now digitized, and you're basically connecting citizens directly to their politicians, directly to their choices.
and
That
it
changes
really
it.
takes stuff off politicians' plates too,
Yeah,
which is great
yeah,
because it
yeah.
it makes them be able to actually focus on policy and actual citizenry
Mhm, mhm.
versus fundraising, because we know that, especially with congressmen, congresswomen, every 2 years. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous.
That
Yeah,
cycle is
yeah,
insane. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think it would free up their hands to do a lot more, right?
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah, because like their biggest time right now is dialing for dollars and pay to play dinners. Like they
yeah,
spend way more time doing that than they ever talk
campaigning.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, so yeah, like a non-corrupt, legitimate civil servant would love what we're doing, and they do. We've been talking to like grassroots politicians and stuff, and they would love a system like this. Like, it makes sense. It's more efficient. It's easier. It just streamlines communication between citizens and the politicians. Then you're also forcing transparency and forcing accountability.
Yeah.
So that's really how we tackle the money. Is like, we know we're not going to get them to legislate anything right now, but what we could do is just make it so easy to know that where their conflicts are, and make like really help a citizen see it right in their face. like, imagine a world where when a politician walks around, they have to show the companies that are paying them, like, all over the, like a NASCAR
Yeah,
racer.
right. Like the
It would
like
change
all
their
the stickers.
decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it would completely change how people vote. So this is kind of like
And
that
this is
this
why they
really
fight
moves it.
against it too. Or I
Yeah,
should say
yeah,
the proverbial system,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
right, yeah,
I think you guys are doing great things, man. So it comes down to, obviously we have to get the citizenry buy-in, but you also need the politicians buy-in. And if you can do both of those pretty effectively, I think the ball will get rolling, man.
yeah.
I love the idea. I mean, it's a reality at this point. It's not even an idea. It's getting where you guys are rolling it out. So,
Mhm.
um, good on you. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. And with the cool thing with the politicians, like, definitely we need the citizens buy-in 100%.
Of course.
The good thing though is that no matter whether they like it or not, we're going to be able to do politician report cards, and like you're going to see your choices, you're going to see their funding and accountability and all that stuff. And then so we have a strategy. If we start with the grassroots candidates, third parties, like you kind of work your way from the bottom up. Eventually, like once you have millions of people on a platform, like no politician's going to turn
Yeah,
it down. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to play ball at some point. So we'll get the buy-in. Long as we get the citizens, we will get the politicians, whether they want to be there or not.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So kind of wrapping things up, what's something that you would like to leave the audience with?
So definitely like this is a huge moment for us right now, January, and the launch of our digital politics hub. So again, this isn't the whole digital democracy yet. We need to build the people power. We need citizen involvement. So right now, if this excites you, just help spread the word, tell your friends, tell your family. Again, just join. If you join our newsletter, you'll get announced when the hub launches in the next couple weeks. But right now it's just a big awareness stage. The more you learn, there's a lot of layers to what we're doing, like decades of plans and stuff. I know it gets complicated, but the more you learn about it, it just makes the most fair sense, common sense. Like this is like what common sense politics would be about. Um, so learn about us, check out the website, follow our socials, and just help spread the word. Because all we would need is the people power, and then everything else can fall into place. And we're
Yes.
we're now moving into that moment where we could scale up and really get this people power cooking.
And tell people again where they can find you the best. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
I'll
it's
put it in the show notes too, but
Yeah, so futureis.org is the website. If you go to the bottom, join the newsletter to get an alerts and then for when the Digital Politics Hub launches in the next 2 weeks. And then also our social media is at futureis.org, all one word. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, a couple others,
all the
most of
places.
them. And you'll see that stuff on our website too. But the big go-to is going to be this hub that's launching. That's where it's really going to help you know what you can do, how to help us, how to help yourself, how to fight for more accountability and representation in the system. So the hub launches, and it's going to be constantly getting updated, especially the next month or two. We're going to keep updating it. And just have huge potential, and we just need some support in pushing in these early stages is going to be the hardest compared to once
Of
we really get
course.
this get
Of
as soon as we
course.
get running,
It's
it's
always
gonna
it's always
grow.
0 to 1,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
It's 1 to 10 is the easy part.
yeah,
It's 0
yeah.
to 1.
Seriously,
That's always the hardest part.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I think you guys can do it, man. And we'll do our part to assist you. So,
Thank you.
Travis, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great being with you.
Carry the fire through shadows and storm. Voices of yesterday guiding us on. Echoes of duty, the call we still hear. Building tomorrow with courage, not fear. Stand your ground, keep the watch through the night. Guarding tomorrow where freedom's alive. Through every trial, the truth will endure. Full spectrum frontiers, steady and sure. From fields of the past to horizons unknown. The seeds that we plant are the future we own. Stories of valor, of lessons we've learned, a legacy